Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to your favorite weekly show, The Weekly Matters. With me on my right hand side, Anne Njoroge, a global shaper with the World Economic Forum, Kevin Osido, Governance Watch Executive Director, Ali Bash, educationist and executive teacher. An educationist and a teacher, a former teacher. Welcome. Karibuni kwa show. As we were saying, and sometimes last month on the 10th of March 2018, out of no one expected, a handshake happened. A handshake that seemed to have reduced the political tension in this country. Yeah. Was it worth it?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Indeed, I would say it was worth it because you note that tensions within the country, political tensions were very high given the political activities that we were subjected to for almost 2 years running, almost 2.5 years running. We had campaigns for the August 8th, which was then nullified by the Supreme Court. Then we had the 26th of October. All these activities really were not presenting an amicable environment for a lot of things to be able to take place. And one of those things is indeed just the social cohesiveness and living of normal Kenyans. You note that we many times are torn in between our political, ethnic, and of course, different dynamics of political interests and persuasions, and those who are actually escalated to the extent of nothing was going on in the country. The economic standards of this nation were going down, and Kenya was more or less moving towards a limping state scenario, which to us, especially from a governance perspective, was not the right kind of country that we wanted. So it was really important, and I have to applaud the two principals for the opportunity for them to sit and think about this country, the present and even the future, because then we note that His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta and the former Right Honorable Prime Minister really command huge followings in this country, and if they say we are banning the country burns. If they say we are joining together,
just to interrupt you,
together.
They have shook hands,
yes,
for the sake of the country and the economy, that is. But Anne, a month later, since the handshake happened, we have not seen a recovery of the economy as such, and still, the only thing maybe that has disappeared from the scene is the political tension.
No, that means a lot, and we don't expect to see things moving immediately. And if you realize, everything was literally at a standstill. The economy wasn't growing, business was affected. You would wake up in the morning unsure of what is going to happen during the day. So we are experiencing calmness, and it's from that calmness that you're going to see growth. We are now sure that you will wake up and not find fracas in the morning or stone throwing in the morning. So that calmness was timely, and it was much needed in the country. Business has started, if you're an entrepreneur like myself, we are receiving calls now, we are receiving inquiries even from outside the country. Yeah, so it was timely, and it is very, very important, and I believe it set the stage for growth in this country.
Yeah, obviously, from an economic perspective, things had moved on.
Yeah.
But Ali Bash,
yes,
Ali Bashir, there was reason why there was a political tension.
yes,
There were issues.
yes.
And immediately the handshake happened, it's like there was nothing before,
Yes.
And many Kenyans, looking at social media,
Yes.
Twitter and other places,
Yes.
you realize that people are still not kind of contented with the handshake. Do you think it justifies whatever happened before the handshake itself?
I will have to say this. I'll take you back a little bit. Why the effect of the handshake was instantaneous is because of what we went through. Not just the two elections, the campaign period was protracted one. It lasted very long. And Kenyans, in a way, do not expect a lot of help in terms of basic commodities like food prices were rising. And they don't expect the government to solve this. They need to go out and work. And because of the tension, people were not going out of their homes. So what the relief they have now is they're able to fend for themselves and their families. It's not that the handshake has done anything for them, but they have, at least they have the peace of mind. But now, from what my brother here and sister are saying, is because Raila and Uhuru shook hands, and therefore everything is solved. I don't think that is. There are a lot of things that are unsolved in this. We've just buried them under the carpet for now, and they will.
Talking of now,
Yes.
burying under the carpet.
Yes.
Every election year there's an issue.
Yes.
And then immediately the election happens, we are told to move on. You know, people are told to move on.
Yes.
You bury the hatchet. What happens to electoral justice? What happened to the issue of people who, you know, who affected in one way or the other through the chaos that happened before the elections?
Yes.
You know, Kevin, as an expert in this field, was it, you know, when we say, I'm sure the handshake was okay, what happened to the issues that made them shake hands with the electoral justice and all these things?
Those issues have to be dealt with. And the best thing why this handshake is very important is that then it sets the pace and the tempo for dialogue and for issues to be discussed. Because you cannot be talking when people are fighting, for instance. That environment cannot be able to give you the opportunity to raise concerns. Now, why this is also important is because the handshake gives the common citizens an opportunity to reflect and to be able to hold their leaders to account. And let me tell you, and as I also tell myself, that there is no day His Excellency the President and the Prime Minister will sit back and ask Kenyans to give them perspectives on how to run this country. Because we are much more dependent on them to be able to set the tempo. And the tempo has been set. So we want to see people asking difficult questions. We want to see the IEBC giving responses and feedback on some of the issues that the opposition raised around elections, in some of the questions that the judiciary raised within the two Supreme Court cases.
But you see, we expected after the handshake, and on the opposition side, there are people who had issues with the ruling,
of course,
party.
Yeah.
Their matters were withdrawn, some cases here and there. But it's like the Miguna thing has tested, you know, the handshake itself. Where do you put that? Because we talk of, you know,
Miguna issue is twofold, because you note that what really interests Kenyans about the Miguna issue is citizenship. Otherwise, it's really convoluted with so many things, which I don't think we want to delve into. It has issues to do with criminal investigations, which are with response or regard to his ID, how he obtained his ID, when did he obtain the ID. We have had Parliament summoning people, including the former Director of Immigration, who is now a Principal Secretary, to be able to give evidence. Miguna showed up to the airport without a passport. There are questions that people are even asking his own lawyers. How did he come from Canada to get to JKI?
But people are also forgetting
So
where
I would differ with my friend. I would differ with my friend because with the handshake, we expected a bit of reforms to begin with, and the most fundamental one is following the rule of law.
Yes.
The rule of law, Kenya has a lot of, Jubilee would come and say they have built roads, they have built hospitals, they a lot of infrastructure development. But the software that has actually led to where we are today is ignoring the rule of law and constitutionalism. Number one, Miguna was a candidate in the last election. How his lack of citizenship was discovered after he rebelled against the government leaves a lot to be desired.
correct.
Secondly, Miguna was taken to court. He was arrested at the beginning by the government arbitrarily. We don't actually think they had a warrant because they didn't produce it. They have to go to court to get the warrant. They didn't. Even after he was arrested and his house was vandalized and he was held in Comunicado
Yeah.
and was transferred from one prison to another, his lawyers got a court order asking the government and the CS for internal security to produce him. They didn't. A second court order, they didn't. And finally, Miguna was deported. You see, that, I think, betrays the handshake. It betrays the handshake because with the handshake, we expected a lot of things to now shape up and a lot of goodwill to be shown from both sides. We didn't. And it demoralizes people like my friend here who thought now the handshake would set the stage for smooth relationship between different political players.
Not necessarily, but maybe Anne
Let me
has
allow Anne to
a
continue.
different view.
to say that it would be expecting too much to expect things to just happen. And my challenge would be to the opposition is that they must continue playing their role even post the handshake.
Precisely.
For me, the handshake laid a foundation, or it set the stage for us to ride on. It is what the two principles do going forward that will determine how 2022 will be. So they have a role and a responsibility of guiding us on the way forward.
In
Very
fact, Ahmad, there was a document which was titled Building Bridges to a New Kenyan Nation. That document espouses everything, including inclusivity, including war on corruption, including devolution, including where we are coming from as a people, all the way to where we are currently. And that's why I am talking about harnessing the power of the people, because this is a simple handshake. You and I can fight for as many stages and days we want, but a simple gesture within the African culture is that when you're warring among yourselves, you are either pushed or you voluntarily negotiate and mediate, and then you are able to
And
shake
it's
your hands.
definitely, the benefits of the New Deal, that's the handshake, is obviously outweighs the cost of it.
Yeah.
But again, we are seeing a situation, I'm putting this from an economic perspective.
Yeah.
We are seeing a situation whereby the government is broke, and as they say, and not, it's there on the, it's something, it's a common knowledge. It was there in the papers, it was on main news. And that has an impact on how our economy, functions. Do you think, as much as we are hopeful about the future aspect of the handshake, if you were to enumerate what happened the last few weeks, do you think this handshake is really going to give us the real economy that we want to have?
No. It's what we are going to do with the handshake that determines our future. Now we can attract foreign investment. Money is in circulation. I don't know whether you're aware that there was even no money in circulation. Getting even funding, even from the banks, was a problem. But when there is calmness, when there is peace, when there is certainty of the future, then people can now start investing. Money can start circulating. So it is what you're going to do with this handshake that determines whether the country is going to continue being broke or the country is going to progress. But yes, I have hope and I have faith that we are going to make progress.
I would want to answer your question. The handshake must work for this country. It should set the stage to a better Kenya. There is no debate about that. But we're very dishonest a lot when it comes to addressing these issues head on. And if you ask me, there's already talk of whether Raila was bought or not, and coming from people who are loyal to him. That is number one. Secondly, already the handshake has set the stage for 2022. Instead of discussing the issues that matter and solving the electoral injustice and setting the stage for other reforms, people are already aligning themselves in different political camps for 2022, or whether this handshake is going to affect the coming election, not whether it's going to affect the lives of Kenyans between now and the next election. So, and Raila has not come out. Already, Raila went to the last election with a coalition. Because of the handshake between him and the president, his coalition is divided. Not just divided in terms of, as a coalition. If you look at what's happening in the Senate and the Parliament, Raila's, members or ODM members are trying to, shove other coalition members out of the deal. So, was it about Raila and Uhuru only, or was it about issues? What was Raila fighting for?
Which is why, in addition to what Al-Bashir was said, I am insisting that Kenyans must now come to the fore to take responsibility of this nation, because it goes beyond Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta. This country is our country. The handshake has set the pace. Let each and every Kenyan ask the right questions, Let everybody do what is productive towards building the GDP of the country. We have almost 14 million young Kenyans out there who are looking up to employment opportunities. Every day we have Kenyans waking up to be able to just mind their own businesses. They want an environment that is going to be
If I were to cut you short,
Yes,
you have talked of the building bridges document that was signed by the two principals, and you have mentioned corruption.
Yes.
Today, there were many appointments that were made in the
Yes.
that were made by the presidency,
Yes.
and some of the names leave a lot to be desired, in the sense that they were in the previous list of corruption purges and what have you. So I would like to hear your take on that. But before you do that, we are going to go for a break. I want to remind our viewers that we'll be back right here. Keep it there. And we're also on social media, Facebook, Horizon TV Kenya, Twitter at Horizon TV Kenya, and my personal Twitter is at HamilQadar1. We'll be back. Keep it here.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to your weekly favorite show, The Weekly Matters. Before we went for break,
Yes, please.
we have been talking about the document itself.
Yes.
What happens after the next? I mean, what next after the handshake?
What next after?
But
Yes.
Ali Bashir has mentioned a very important aspect to it, in terms of corruption.
Yes.
Today, as we speak, appointments were made. Some of them, they were in previous list. These are public knowledge. Again, we are told that they are being reappointed. Again, on the same today, in other parts of the world, two important corruption cases happened. In South Korea, the former president was jailed for 24 years today. While in South Africa, Jacob Zuma case was mentioned today. Now, when we reappoint people,
And he was physically
and he was physically present.
in the court.
Al-Bashir has talked about the respect of the rule of law, which is a very important element of a nationhood. Yet, on one side, we are told we are fighting corruption. On one side, guys who have been, been involved or who are mentioned in corruption cases are being reappointed.
Yeah.
Do you think the fight of corruption is sincere itself?
Let me tell you, for these issues to be addressed, it will take us another generation. Why am I saying this? 2007 happened, 2008, we had a handshake, which was termed the golden handshake between the right honorable former Prime Minister and Mheshimiwa Mwai Kibaki. Do you know why that was important? After that, we had a document which was then called the Kenya National Dialogue Reconciliation process, more or less, which brought together 4 key agenda items. And I'm sure that many of us are aware about those agenda issues.
Yes.
One of the things that we must do as a people is to be able to be accountable. And part of that accountability takes 2 sides. One, it is the citizenry. We must be able to harness our power to be able to stop certain things from happening in the way that they are happening. The second thing is we have institutions that are charged with certain issues. From 2008, one of the biggest concerns that we had were historical injustices. In the same document today, which we are calling Building Bridges to a New Kenyan Nation, we have historical injustices that have been brought together in the form of inclusivity, among others. We had land issues that were mentioned then, and even today, many Kenyans are squatting in our nation. Let me tell you, whether we have as strong institutions as we think that we'll be able to have them, it will take Kenyans our own to be able to stop certain things from happening the way they are happening.
But you see, Kevin, when you say it takes our own, ourselves to do, common Kenyan citizens they don't have the instrument of power. Yeah?
I agree with you.
This issue of, referring things to the citizenry always, is a bit of escapism.
The opposition.
Let me build on his argument.
Yes.
Okay.
The 2007-2008 gave us the new constitution. the new constitution gave us devolution. I don't want to imagine where Kenya would be today if we didn't have devolution, with the scale of corruption in this country. Uhuru's government is not sincere about the fight against corruption. Raila is not also sincere about the fight against corruption, because they haven't shown real intent to fight corruption. Raila defends his people whenever they're implicated. Uhuru appoints corrupt people in his government, and they come on TV and promise things that they do not actually do. The new constitution also, like you said, historical injustices. After the new constitution was passed, we had the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission.
Yeah.
They went around all this country and put a report together. Where is it? No one knows. It has been shelved. You see, so we are not implementing the
So
constitution.
you're basically postponing problems.
Listen,
have
I want
allowed
to end with this point.
Yes.
When NASA was fighting the government and they were calling for rallies, all their security details were withdrawn. There was no law that it wasn't based on any law or anything. They haven't broken any law. Immediately after the handshake, their security detail was restored. What does that tell you? That this country runs on the whims of whoever is in power. And the constitution is implemented when it favors them, and it's ignored when it favors them. So we don't have leaders in this country.
I want to agree with him that we're setting a very dangerous precedence as a country. However, the only person who is more powerful in this country than the leaders is you and I. I remember in 2002, after the Moi Kibaki and Raila coalition took power, we were very optimistic, we were very hopeful, we owned our country.
Yeah, in fact, we were named the most hopeful nation in the world.
Kenyans were arresting
We
police
owned
officers.
the country. And I wish we would look at the handshake and learn from that handshake. Because at the end of the day, I will fight you as my neighbor. But then the leaders don't fight. In reality, the leaders don't fight. We will fight, but it is you and I agreeing to live together that will take us forward. Corruption does not happen in a vacuum. We are the enablers of corruption.
Corruption does not happen in a vacuum. I absolutely agree.
Yes.
But again, we see petty people, petty people who do petty corruption level going to jail. Chicken people who steal chicken, traffic police officers are always headed on the streets. But you hardly see someone who steals 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, or even a billion going to jail. So, and then we are told, the power is in us.
It is in our hands because even the leaders use a decoy to get this money. They will come and, there was a case in NYS where somebody was carrying money in sacks.
In Gunias.
Yes. So unless me as a Kenyan refuse to aid in that.
Now I want to, Anne.
Yes.
The person who was carrying this thing, as you said, NYS, whatever, the Gunia, is still out there. How do Kenyans want? Where will Kenyans help?
You see, it's down to implementing the rule of law.
Yes.
That whoever deals in corruption, engages in corruption, if someone knows there are consequences. In China today, if you are corrupt, you're shot by the firing squad. Everybody knows that. So if you're caught, you do it at your own risk because the consequences are grave. What are the
consequences?
The punishment for anyone who corrupts in this country?
Nothing.
You actually, people who are corrupt and who still run for office in this country, and they get elected because they give out the money they have stolen from you, and now you love them because they give you money, and then you elect them to. Look at our parliament today. A good number of them have been practicing politics of thuggery. Yes? People, some of the leaders in this country, the governor of Nairobi is on record on TV saying he has been a big thief. But nothing happens.
Which is why, in my view, we must deal with ourselves as Kenyans.
Yeah.
Probably we need to move the debate forward to begin delving into what do we need to do as a people. We have institutions that are not doing what they are supposed to do. I am waiting to see anyone who has been prosecuted by EACC because we have a scenario where, as you rightfully said, the common thief who takes somebody's goat in the village is taken in for almost 6 years. And this other person who takes 800 million actually vies to be a governor and is elected. And people say this is our thief. Research has been done in this country that indicates that for the new breed of young people that we are bringing up, they would rather do anything, including buying jobs, and we are seeing it happening every day. What is our moral fabric as a people? Are we investing in ensuring that we deal with the softwares in our attitude, in our software, insofar as our education curriculum is concerned? How are we treating the people that are supposed to be setting the example for the society?
Yes,
police officers,
as you address, I will cut him short. As you put that into perspective, I also want you to tell us, as an entrepreneur, as a young shaper of the Global Economic Forum, what do we need to do to address the revival of the economy after the handshake?
Now, I want to first say that at the end of the day, we are the people who elect the leaders. And as long as we have corrupt leaders in office, we will not fight corruption, because I will have to protect myself from going in. So there is something called civic education. Civic education is very, very important, but it's never enforced.
Yeah.
And this is a call to everybody who has a little bit of influence in this country, even if it's in the village. We have a role and a responsibility of moving this country forward, because it's until we as citizens agree that we want a new crop of leaders in office that we will move forward. We need to educate our citizens. We need to educate, especially the people in the rural areas. We have to be deliberate about that. Now, what needs to be done to move our country forward? I have to say that number one, economic, yes. We need availability of capital, especially for entrepreneurs. It is becoming extremely difficult to access business capital, even through banks, even the funds that have been created by the government. This is the youth fund, the women fund. If I am a startup, I will not get funding today if I do not have security, if I do not have experience or sometime a strong bank account that will earn me money. So we need capital to be able to operate. So access to financing is very, very important for me as an entrepreneur. Yeah. And of course, political stability.
And in addition to that, devolution must work, and it must be seen to be working for Kenyans, because a bigger chunk of the economy of this country actually now rests with county governments. So counties must be supported. We have to strengthen and enhance institutions and systems within county governments. She talked about civic education. The people must be given space to participate. So public participation is very important insofar as creating space for devolution to work. For devolved services, you know, and even those that are also shared, the county governments must invest in opportunities that are going to ensure that the youth at the county levels are not only empowered but employed, so that they are able to generate revenue that is going to bolster the economy.
Yeah, you have talked of devolution must be seen to be working.
Yes.
I also would like to appreciate the fact that after the handshake, it's going to work better than it was previously. Because we have seen the former Prime Minister, who is usually called the father of devolution, be given a role to play in the devolution conference that's happening next month, and such kind of stuff.
It's a good thing.
But remember, I'm addressing to Alibash. You can have your take on it.
Yeah.
Remember, the Treasury is greatly reducing the money allocated to counties this financial year. And the government is insisting, especially the Treasury is insisting, that counties must create their own funds. Is that really helpful to devolution? As much as they, of course, they must have their own funds, but when you reduce the amount allocated to counties, and there are a lot of functions that are supposed to be done, where does that leave devolution?
I would rather more funds are devolved to the counties than anything else. I remember last year's budget was 2.3 trillion, and 47 counties were given 0.3. 2 trillion. Yes, the 2 trillion was with the national government. The constitution, I think my friend will correct me, allows up to 45% devolving of the funds to the national to the county government, of course with more functions. But now counties share 300 billion annually. Much as counties are supposed to generate their own revenue, remember counties are only 5 years old.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes a lot of experience before someone can seal all those loopholes. People are taking advantage. even the National Treasury, that is over 50 years old, does not collect the money it's supposed to collect, because there are a lot of loopholes that people are trying to steal from the government. They are not paying the taxes they are supposed to pay. Our ports are not as secure as they're supposed to be. We're not collecting the funds we are supposed to collect. So if the national government is unable to do that, I think it is very unfair to demand the same from 5-year-old county governments. They have to be supported. The national government has a responsibility because county government is at the grassroots. We have seen a lot of change. Where I come from, Mandera, today we are able to do, when women are pregnant, we're able to do cesarean section in many sub-counties. It has never happened in the history of this nation. So to say now we are reducing that and taking away maternal health from our mothers and women in Mandera is not a fair statement from the Treasury.
Now, talking of, Albash has talked positively about it.
Yes.
You want to contribute to that?
Yes, I want to contribute and say that in as much as we are allocating more funds to the county, we have to ensure that the funds do exactly what they were allocated to do. Because as an entrepreneur working with government, one of the people that do not pay is a county government. When you're looking at the health, at times wonder why we devolved health, because it has become worse than it was previously. So there's a lot of, and I go back to empowering the citizen, because they become the watchguard. When you go to Rwanda, the person at the grassroots level is a very powerful person. They can lead to somebody being fired because what they say is taken to be the most important thing. So we have to, number one, empower the citizen to ensure that they play the watchguard role on the county, to ensure that our funds and the money that is taken to the county does what it was meant to be. Because the counties, as he rightfully says, are some of the best things that has happened to this country. And it can move our country forward. I'm looking at a county where I come from, like Nyeri. We have so much potential. But unless, you know,
incompetence within the county government.
Exactly.
Anyway, and I'm going to cut it short.
Okay. For the
she has talked of counties and allocation, but how devolved corruption is affecting counties. I would like to hear that more because you are the executive director of the Governance Watch. We are going for a break. We'll be back right here. Keep it there. As usual, our social media accounts: Facebook, Horizon TV Kenya; Twitter, Horizon TV Kenya. Myself is at Ahmed Qadar 1. We'll be back shortly.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the show. Kevin, before we went for break,
yes,
and Anne was talking about, you know, what devolution should be doing exactly, the money allocated to the counties. There's also a devolved corruption. As the Governance Watch person from that institution,
yes,
what have you discovered in your Governance Watch? Especially, I know you're doing more with counties, and how is devolved corruption affecting counties?
2 weeks ago, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission released a report which really presented the real picture of what is happening in the counties. Too much corruption. And next week, but on 19th, we're also releasing a report on the same issues around best performing and worst performing counties. And one of the most paradoxical thing that we have seen as an organization, that is County Governance Watch, is that, for instance, one of the counties has been ranked as best performing in terms of service delivery. But if you ask the same people around corruption and what the county is doing, the same county has been ranked topmost in terms of most corrupt county. What does this present? If you went out there and asked Kenyans, why is a county corrupt? They will tell you very many reasons. And really this is what we are talking about. So that then devolution is supposed to be working to ensure that the lives of the people are much better than we were in the past, that services are delivered, that an expectant mom can be able to go to a health facility and meet a doctor and meet a pharmacist and meet a nurse and you're attended to, that your antenatals will work, that you will go to school and education system is working, that the roads are also okay, that the ambulances and can be able to go through and business farmers can be able to take their proceeds to the market. Now this is not happening in many counties, and it is not happening, and that's why we say that the people must be able to begin to harness their powers, because even at the county levels we do not have institutions that are going to fight corruption at the county, which is why we have asked EACC to devolve that institution to the counties. There is a tool that we are currently engaging counties on, which is called the TAPI. TAPI, the T stands for transparency. That public participation, before any process is done in the counties, the people must be informed.
Okay, talking of public participation, there are county forums at the badge.
Yes.
Whereby the county gives a press statement or put an advert in the paper. For instance, if I use my county, I vote in Nairobi, so it's my county. And they say we are going to have public forum at City Hall. Come and tell us more about what you want for this financial year. It just ends there. Do you think people, as Kevin say, as much as they give their opinion, do you think it's captured in how things are implemented?
Not really, because how many people can City Hall accommodate from Nairobi? That has 17 constituencies. Public participation itself must be devolved within the counties. It must be at ward level.
It is.
Yes.
It must be, not at City Hall. How many people can afford their transport to come here? From Roysambu and from Ruai and from all these other far-flung areas? Not many. So these things are being done just to meet the requirement of law. It's just cosmetic. There is no real intention behind it to really let people know the things the government wants or intends to do. Now, on corruption.
However, people
Let me
must
finish.
not wait for the government
Before
because
he
we have
let me-
Article
It's getting
35
hot, but here we don't
that
have.
gives us
we don't
any
display.
citizen the
Yes.
right to walk to City Hall and get information. So citizens should not just sit in their sitting rooms
Yes.
Let me-
to wait for government.
The middle class in this country has failed the country because people with understanding, people who've gone to school, are
Yes.
too busy
Exactly.
to go to City Hall
Yeah.
and sit there and question
Create
and
time.
monitor.
Yeah.
So the middle class of this country, me included, we have failed this country.
For example, wewe umeenda hizo meetings za CIDP uko kwa ward.
That will.
I want to.
something very important.
Yes,
Continue.
on the middle class, they have switched off from this nation.
They should.
They've switched off for this reason. Number one, sometimes even us going to the government and asking these questions does not matter. What matters is whoever is in power and if they have the goodwill. Nothing will, not even the courts can stop this government to do what they want. So for me, then all I will care about at some point is my family,
And that's the problem.
and the people who are close
That's,
to me.
there is
Why?
a problem.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
You see-
on the day we say
Yes.
hakuna kwenda kazi leo,
Yes.
you know what will happen to the GDP of
Yes.
this country?
Yes.
Yes.
The middle class decide to say
Yeah,
we are not
that is
going.
enough.
We are
Yes,
tired
we are
enough.
so
Yes.
powerful.
Then
but
again,
we're
it
the
will
last-
listen
But
to
again,
people.
don't you think now there's the elephant in the room as
Yeah.
far as the middle class is concerned, and why they will decide today to go Kenya?
They want to pay rent.
Tribalism,
They want to pay rent.
tribalism.
They want
But
to
you
go
see-
How is that
to
affecting
buy
us?
pizza.
I'll answer you.
Yes. We always complain. Before you answer me, I just want to
Yes.
put another question
Yes.
so that you can
Yes.
answer the two together.
Yes,
We always complain about issues
yes.
after elections,
Yes.
not during elections.
Not during elections.
Yes.
There has been a culture since independence, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon, that if our person is in power, they can do no wrong. So even if the middle class go out, it will be the middle class of other communities and not those who are in power. That I can tell you. But today, if say Uhuru is in power,
Despite the fact that we are all suffering.
exactly,
Yes.
we can suffer, but as long as our people are in power, we don't mind suffering. We will only go out. Look, those who agitate
Doesn't
for...
that beat logic?
Absolutely.
Does,
So we are being
but-
dishonest with ourselves. Go to Central. How many? The middle class are probably the largest segment of the society. They vote to their man, to their person, to the last man. Go to Nyanza, the same. Go to Ukambani, the same.
Rift Valley.
Kalonzo always gets 98% of the Kamba votes. Raila gets 100%.
It is
Uhuru,
because
the same.
of
So where is the middle class?
It is because of the nature of our politics. Our politics is never issue-based. We don't stop to ask for services. We never ask that same governor who said, I'm going to build to ensure that there is a road, depending on the class or the level of that road, to be able to pass here, you know. They always wait until when it is elections, and then they come and say, the national government did not facilitate us, and we still go ahead and vote for them. But if you look at how people voted in 2017, there was a paradox, because people said there are certain governors that failed to deliver. They were never voted, and that is going also to change even as we move towards 2022.
It was J.F. Kennedy that said, do not ask what the government can do or your country can do for you. Ask instead, what can I do? I think it has come to a point, if we really care about this country, that we stopped complaining because we are part of the problem. So we stopped complaining and we started acting. It is time that we come on such a show and say we are working together. He comes from Nyanza, I come from Central, we work together.
Come from Modista,
and you come from North, you know, and you become
comparing
one.
America and Kenya, you also have to compare the histories. Number one, J.F. Kennedy, when he became president, he was working for the people. He cared about the common man. Jomo Kenyatta, the founding president of this nation, is on record for chastising a minister who, after the government was poor, and he asked him, how could you be poor and you are in government all these years? You see, so we got it wrong from the beginning.
Yes.
So comparing us with J.F. Kennedy is missing the point.
Which is why
our presidents from Kenyatta
to Moi,
to Moi, to where we are not doing. If Uhuru today took a very radical and fired people who are close to him,
who are corrupt,
he would have sent a statement, and every Kenyan, believe you me, would be behind him. But he doesn't.
Let me just respond to him.
Okay.
I draw my inspiration from America again after the Great Depression.
Yeah.
We had things like the baby boom. You know, they came from nothing and rose to where they are today. They were deliberate about that. As it is now, I'm not sure whether we are going to fight the injustices, but we have a chance in 2022. And we have time between now and 2022 to empower our communities, to empower where we come from, to look at issues as opposed to, it will take time. It is not something that will go away just like that. Yeah. But we have to be deliberate.
But again, comparing the depression, which was an economic issue.
Just a minute. Before you, sometimes in the discussion, you mentioned of 2003 and how hopeful we were as a nation.
Yeah.
And right now, how things are different. I want to take you back. In 2003, we had the Matatu menace. There was the then Minister for Transport, the late Michuki. Yeah? Took action, and Kenyans stood up with him and supported him.
Yeah.
Are we lacking someone who can give us action so that we can support him as a nation?
Yes.
We don't
that is
have,
the question I want to put to you.
Absolutely. That is the type of leader Kenya is lacking today.
Yes.
If whoever will be in power takes a radical decision for the sake of this nation, no one will see his tribe.
But if
no
we
one will see his tribe. But when you arrest Miguna and deport him and you protect somebody else,
the honest
who is
truth is that it will take first you and I, deciding to run for office, deciding to be involved in politics.
We are the problem.
We are. So deciding, because if not you, who else?
Yes.
Because in fact, even on the deportation of Miguna, because my brother keeps referring to this, if Kenyans felt it was wrong, of course it was wrong, because so many things went the wrong way. The CS for Interior was given court orders, he was summoned to judiciary, he chose to go to parliament and ignored, those are things which you don't want to see. If Kenyans said, today we stand with Miguna, and moved from the comfort of Twitter, where you were busy, throwing popcorns into your mouth, and walked to the airport and said, we are standing with Miguna on this. No going to work, we want to understand why a Kenyan wielding an ID for Kenya is being treated like this. If we did it that way, because if that happened in the US, and we have seen instances in the whole world.
Time is not on our side.
Where the US stands with its citizens.
You have mentioned a very important element of 2022 in your remarks, and time is not on our side. I want us to summarize. 2022, right now there's a handshake between Raila and President Uhuru. Do you think that handshake as much as it affects 2022, who else does it displace in the political life?
Straight to the point. I don't want to talk about the deputy president. I don't want to talk about Mheshimiwa Raila. I think the debate around 2022 is premature. His Excellency the President has brought up his Big Four agenda. Manufacturing, we want to see young people getting employment. We want to see Kenyans getting affordable healthcare, affordable housing. We want to see food security so that prices za unga ziende chini. I think we must give space for the Big Four to be tried, tested, and be seen to be working for Kenyans. And the debate on 2022, please give us a break.
I don't want to talk about 2022 like my brother here. And I will tell you, the handshake will mean nothing if the underlying issues, the issues of cohesion and integration, unity among Kenyans is not addressed. Uhuru will not be able to achieve his Big Four agenda if he continues skewed appointments that we have witnessed in the first 5 years. If he continues with, the skewed appointments that he gazetted today, that was in the papers, if this trend continues, then everything good will just be on paper. Things have to change. We need a paradigm shift.
I think for me, the handshake presents an opportunity for all of us to rise up to the occasion and take matters into our own hands and direct this country where we want it to go. Even in 2022, we have an opportunity. Somebody has an opportunity to run for president.
Like I do.
Yes, you do if you want to run for president. I think for me, I see opportunity from the handshake, and let's take advantage of it and steer this country forward.
Now, talking of the, after the handshake and strengthening institutions, you said that the Interior Minister didn't go to the judiciary, but went to Parliament, and he was addressing MPs. Some of us saw it as a lecture, instead of the other side lecturing
Of course it
this
was,
side.
yes.
And he went ahead and called judges a clique of evil judges. I quote that. Just a month after the handshake, what kind of message are we sending?
It will take Kenyans to stand with the judiciary, because we have, for a nation to be as stable, the institutions of governance must be seen, and from a governance perspective, to be working. The executive must be seen to be working independently, the judiciary must be seen to be working, and the other third arm of government, which is the legislature, must be seen to be working. And these institutions are interdependent. The CS has no right, I'm sorry respectfully to say, he has no moral authority to, be lecturing a parliamentary committee. That is more or less like standing at Uhuru Park and lecturing Kenyans, because these are elected members of parliament. So what I want to say probably is that we must take a step backwards and be able to ensure that we assess independence of institutions. And having said that, His Excellency the President also wants a team that is able to safeguard his legacy, that is able to safeguard his tenure. Despite all the flaws within this, it will still take us as a people to be able to stand with the institutions. And if we feel that the CS is wrong, let's get out of our offices and stop him from lecturing our elected leaders.
Yeah, time is not on our side.
Yes.
We are concluding. I would like each of us to give, his parting shot. But as you do that, you have mentioned the NASA coalition and how disjoined they became after the handshake. What is the future for them, if you were to hypothetically analyze that, as you give us your parting shot?
Yes. Before I talk about NASA, the judiciary, brother touched on, is the only sane institution we have in this country that's remaining. And if you don't protect it, then we will have no other institution.
It will take Kenyans, not politicians, to protect.
Now, I would like to not to comment about NASA. NASA were a group of individuals with common interests that came together. And if for one reason their interests again merge, they will not be ashamed to meet again. It's the style of politics in this country. So we will not say they are dead or alive. It's about interests. The interests now are parallel. That's why they parted ways. And when the interests again merge, they will come together.
And shake hands.
So nothing fundamental.
Absolutely. It's not about Kenyans. It's about the individuals that form that coalition.
And you give us your parting shot as you conclude.
I think I want to also add on that and say that there is a vacuum for a focused party to come in and run this country. I think there is a vacuum, there's an opportunity. On the judiciary, I throw again the challenge to the legal fraternity. They are great minds. They can stand up and stand against some of the precedents that we are setting, which for me is worrying. We cannot be a country that does not respect the independence of the judiciary or all the arms of the government. But I'm still very optimistic because my faith is on the Kenyans, and especially the middle class. We need to rise up to the occasion. We have everything that we need. We have social media, which is very, very powerful. Let us rise to the occasion and play our part as a country.
Precisely.
Yes, Kevin,
Mine
you're winding up.
is to say,
You can give us your final parting shot as you wind on so many other things.
fellow Kenyans, the future of this country is in your and my and in our hands. The future of Kenya rests in your small little voice. Please don't sit on your laurels. Don't see a wrong being committed and you just pass over and say the person is not from my tribe, is not my workmate, is not my neighbor. That individual is a Kenyan like you and I. Let's safeguard the future of this country, because the future of your children and your children's children lies in the action that you're going to take today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin, Alibash, Anne, that was a great debate.
Thank you.
That's all we had for you, our viewers today. I'm sure you must have enjoyed an interesting debate. As usual, we're on Facebook, Horizon TV Kenya, Twitter at Horizon TV Kenya, and myself at Ahmed Qadir 1. Thank you very much. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.